Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this, because today we are looking at a completely baffling collapse. We're unpacking how Chelsea Football Club went from the absolute pinnacle of Europe to complete chaos in just a few short years. I want to start us off with a number that is just staggering. $1 billion. Actually, scratch that. It's well over $1 billion. That's how much Chelsea's new ownership threw down on over 40 players in just a handful of transfer windows. I mean, entire leagues don't see that kind of cash move in a decade. Which leads us to the absolute central mystery we're unpacking today. How on earth do you spend $1 billion and fail? Because this unprecedented spending spree somehow resulted in a dismal 12th place finish in the 2022 to 2023 Premier League season. It literally defies all conventional logic. You'd think $1 billion buys you the league, right? Or at least a title fight. Definitely not mid-table mediocrity. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where things went off the rails. You just have to look at the two distinct eras of modern Chelsea, side by side. Under Roman Abramovich, a £140 million purchase built this ruthless machine that won 19 major trophies in 19 years. Fast forward to the Todd Boehly consortium, a record £4.25 billion purchase has delivered, well, absolute chaos. We're talking just 2 minor trophies and over 6 managers in 4 years. Now, to truly understand the scale of this failure, we actually have to jump back a bit to establish the baseline of their initial success. It all traces back to what we can call the 2003 butterfly effect. You see, before the billions, Chelsea was teetering right on the edge of financial ruin. Back in the 2002 to 2003 season, they were so broke they could only afford to sign a single free agent, Kike de Lucas. But then, on the final day of the season, a single goal by Jesper Grønkjær against Liverpool literally saved them. It secured Champions League football, and more importantly, it made the club incredibly attractive to a certain mysterious Russian billionaire. That billionaire, of course, was Roman Abramovich, and his blueprint? It transformed English football overnight. In June 2003, he executes a secret £140 million takeover. Bam! He immediately drops $100 million on a massive spending spree, bringing in huge stars like Claude Makelele. By 2004, Jose Mourinho arrives, and boom, they win Chelsea's first league title in 50 years. This relentless dominance just kept going, ultimately peaking in May 2012 when they secured their very first Champions League against Bayern Munich, right inside Bayern's own stadium. Just incredible stuff. Now, Abramovich operated on this really fascinating philosophy. Stability is overrated. He cycled through 10 full-time managers in 19 years. If you didn't win, you were out. He also funded £1.6 billion in debt to make it happen. And it showed us something kind of counterintuitive. A massive turnover of managers paired with unlimited spending actually can work. But, and this is a massive but, only if it is backed by some seriously deep football knowledge. But then, in March 2022, everything just completely flipped abruptly due to world events entirely outside the realm of football. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the UK government imposed sanctions on Abramovich, forcing him to sell the club. So this huge geopolitical shift led directly to a consortium led by American billionaire Todd Boehly stepping in. They purchased Chelsea for an astronomical £4.25 billion, launching what pretty quickly became known as the chaotic Summer of Todd. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the new ownership came in and tried to spend exactly like Abramovich, but they were missing that one absolutely crucial ingredient: football knowledge. Todd Boehly essentially appointed himself as the club's sporting director. They went out and signed over 40 players for more than $1 billion, which just created this incredibly bloated squad with a total absence of a clear sporting vision. They were just buying players like it was a video game, with no real plan for how they would actually fit together on the pitch. And because there was no plan, the managerial instability turned into an absolute circus. Thomas Tuchel, a guy who literally just won them a Champions League, was sacked by September 2022. Then they rapidly cycle through Graham Potter and, well, a returning Frank Lampard. Next, Mauricio Pochettino comes in, manages to secure a respectable 6th-place finish with 63 points, and is immediately replaced. Then Enzo Fernandez takes over, gets 69 points, and he's sacked by January 2026. It's just this relentless, dizzying carousel that prevents any sort of real system from taking root. But you know, it wasn't just on the pitch where things were completely falling apart. The finances were bleeding heavily. Just look at this. During that Maresca phase, despite the fact that they actually won the UEFA Conference League, Chelsea reported a staggering £262.4 million pre-tax loss. Guys, This is the biggest pre-tax loss in Premier League history, period. It's a massive financial collapse that really just goes to show how totally unsustainable a billion-dollar spending spree is when it doesn't translate to top-tier, sustained success. Which brings us to an even deeper structural issue going on here, a total identity crisis. Under the old regime, Chelsea was this ruthless, win-at-all-costs machine. Everyone knew what they were about. Today, nobody really knows. Are they a massive spending machine? Are they a development club trying to buy up young talent? Are they title contenders? This utter confusion has completely stripped the club of its core purpose, leaving fans and players completely in the dark. So the crucial point is really this. Money alone isn't enough. Football knowledge matters. You can literally have the deepest pockets in the history of the sport, but throwing $1 billion at a roster will actively destroy a club from the inside out if you don't have a coherent football-driven strategy directing where every single dollar is going. And, well, the bill for that lack of strategy finally came fully due during the absolute rock-bottom disaster of the 2025 to 2026 season. Everything just completely collapsed. They finished 10th with a miserable 52 points, forced to change managers 3 different times in a single season. They entirely missed out on any European competition, and perhaps most damning of all, interim manager Callum McFarland publicly admitted that poor discipline had fractured the team right from the inside. Now, amidst all this billion-dollar chaos, it's definitely worth noting there was one genuinely surprising positive to emerge. Cole Palmer became an absolute star. During the 2024 to 2025 season, he proved to be one of the Premier League's most outstanding attacking players, putting away 15 goals. It's a tiny bit of contrast, right? It just shows that individual brilliance can still flash, even when the broader club structure is completely collapsing around it. Let's move to and see how this builds into their latest attempt at a lifeline, the Xabi Alonso gamble. Appointed in May 2026 on a 4-year contract, the legendary former midfielder is facing a monumental task. I mean, he's inheriting a severely fractured dressing room, he has to navigate high-profile star players who are actively demanding to leave, and he's got to overhaul a highly flawed defensive system. Yet, somehow, there is early optimism. Alonso stated things are not as bad as it looked, and a 3-0 preseason victory over AC Milan actually sparked a glimmer of hope among the fanbase.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question. Will Xabi Alonso rebuild the empire, or is the glory era of Chelsea Football Club officially over? Can a brilliant football mind finally bring order to a billion-dollar mess, or has the damage to the club's identity been too severe this time? It's honestly one of the most fascinating storylines in modern sports, and we're just going to have to wait and see how this next chapter plays out.